Hi guys, this is Troy Mail from Australian Guitar Channel with a very special lesson today with Brett Garsed. I did a Zoom call earlier with Brett running through the guitar solo for Two Strong Hearts, which is a video I've wanted to do for a long time, and he kindly agreed to do this last week. So we go into a lot of detail on this, probably everything you need to know about playing this solo perfectly from the man who played it himself. So without any further talking, let's get into it. Brett, how you doing, man? Thanks for doing this lesson for Two Strong Hearts. How are you?
No worries, Troy. I'm all good here. Yeah, under lockdown, doing all right.
Okay, all right. I reckon it's best if we start, if you can tell us, because this is a famous slide guitar solo. So can you tell us what kind of slide you're using for this, that you use generally?
I have no idea what I used back in the day when I did it, because I think we did this in 1987 or something like that. But it would have been glass, but it might have been a little bottle that I'd cut the bottom off. But right now, my favourite slide has been for years the Jim Dunlop 211 is the model.
Okay.
And whenever I go into a store and they have slides set up, I buy as many of them as I can.
Okay.
So I'm like, instead of hoarding toilet paper, I hoard slides. So,
all right.
But yeah, I really like this slide because it's just I use fairly light strings. I'm like 10 to 52. I should be using 11s, but I don't know. If I was playing more often, my hands would probably be strong enough to handle 11s on a strap. But right now, I had to drop back to 10s. So the slide isn't too heavy, so it's got a nice mass to it. It's quite thick.
Yep.
And I like it to only come down to. You got to excuse me because I'm using it on the finger, but it only comes down to my second knuckle. It's not like the blues players who like it to come down all the way on their little finger. So
okay.
Yeah, I like that. So. And
do you do any muting with your other fingers when you're playing slide?
Yeah, I mean, I'll use. I suppose, as we'll see when we try and demonstrate this solo, I use my other fingers and like this part of my left hand for some of the higher strings.
Okay.
I'll just move this down a little bit. Yeah, some of the higher strings up around here.
Okay.
And for the lower strings, I'll use the heel of my right hand. So,
okay.
If you watch guys like say Derek Trucks, who plays without a pick. I think Derek plays without a pick, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And even Sonny Landreth, who uses a thumb pick, you'll see Derek a lot of the times he'll drape his whole thumb across the lower strings. So whatever works, like once you put a slide of any like brass, metal or glass on these things with distortion, they just turn into screaming wild animals, and you got to use any method necessary to keep them quiet.
Okay, well, I guess that leads to my next question: is what kind of gain settings have you got on your amp? What's your setup for this back then and now when you play it? What's your? I see you got your Marshall in the background.
Well, actually, I'm not using the Marshall. I'm see if I can angle this. Which way am I going? That's all. I'm using the Axe FX3 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of mainly use that, but I mean, the Marshall's all right. That's a JCM 2000, and it's not a bad amp. I've got a couple of older Marshalls that I borrowed from a friend. But to be honest, I mean, all the sounds in this thing I've based on real amps, and I've tried to model them to make them sound as authentic as I can. So
okay. So this is a pretty gain, distortion, driven sound. I mean,
yeah, very. Like, I mean, if I don't play slide and open it, can you hear that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah, these are Virgil Arlo single coil pickups. So
okay.
I haven't got humbuckers or anything high output in there. So yeah, I think I'm running like it's a Bogner model in the Axe FX3, a Bogner Ecstasy model, and I've got a fuzz tone of some kind in front of it.
Okay.
But what I see for slide, what I'll do is the bottom tone on this guitar is wired to the back pickup, So if I can hold it up close, maybe it's not really easy to see.
Yeah.
But it's down around 5 or 6 at the moment. So I've darkened the sound up. And what I'll do even is I might only run the volume at about 6 or 7 because the slide just gives so much more. The strings really come alive once you put the slide on there, so you don't even really need a great deal of gain.
Okay, and delay? You got a little bit of delay on there?
There's a little bit, just hear it, just pretty much one repeat, a little bit of reverb.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just for my psychological benefit, I guess. But sometimes live, especially the reverb, you can't even hear it. So
yeah. And one last little thing I just want to ask about your action, because that's a big thing with slide is how your action sits on the strings against the fretboard. You got it set specifically for slide, or?
No, it's kind of a hybrid at the moment. And like I said, the heavier gauge, the 11 to 52, is better because I could use a lower action, but the extra mass of the string would support the slide.
Okay.
But it just makes day-to-day playing and bending harder.
Okay.
And like I said, if I was more match fit as far as touring and gigging, I can practice at home, but nothing matches a live gig. It's just the intensity goes up. So what I've done is I have bumped the action up. So it's about as in between as I can get. I still hit the frets every now and then with the slide, but
okay.
You do the best you can. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I say, why don't we start off? Can you just run through the solo just now for us? Incidentally, I was going to mention, I know the chords you're playing over a B minor, A, and G. That's a little rotation.
Yeah.
B minor, A, G, back to A. But if you want to run through the little solo before we just go through, break it down, and just give us a little.
All right.
I'll
try and get the camera set up so you don't have to see my mug and you just see the guitar. So.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Beautiful. That there was no lag either. That did not cut out once. That's perfect.
Oh well, that's good.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you break it down from the start for us? So do you start on the 2nd fret on the G?
Yeah, it's actually the 4th fret.
Okay.
You slide down to the 2nd fret.
Okay.
It's a really good. I've been meaning to sort of do a breakdown of this solo only because, well, for a start, I don't do the angling stuff, so it doesn't have that particular quirk of mine in it. So it's a bit more general in that regard. And there's just a lot of really good standard slide techniques in it that anyone could use for any number of things. So the actual shape that I'm playing is it's just 4 to 2 on the G on the 3rd string and then 4 on the 4th string.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Like a pentatonic box.
Yep.
So it's just a really quick movement. So you get that really fast whining sort of sound or whatever it is. And that's where the muting is really important. It's actually, it could take quite a lot of practice just to be able to mute like that, to do that kind of effect.
Okay.
Because Joe Walsh used to do it when he was tuned to open E. Of course, he'd be like straight across, and you'd get the. I have to.
Yep.
He would use it a lot with this sort of. That kind of sound.
Yep.
And so that's sort of where I stole the lick from. But it's pretty standard stuff. So, and if you could mutate it in a number of ways where you could go. So slide down on the high string, back up on the low string, and you get this really. And even if you don't want to mute the strings, they sound kind of cool just ringing. Get a kind of a Billy Gibbons ZZ Top kind of effect.
Yeah.
So
with your vibrato on the slide, is it fair to say you're swaying evenly across the fret line, like perfectly evenly across, say, the 4th fret line there?
Yeah, and I struggled with that for a long time, many years actually. And even to the point when I was doing this solo, I still struggled with consistency with the vibrato. And then one day it just dawned on me, and I've heard other, like the great slide players, talk about this, and they say the exact same thing. I think even Joe Walsh might have said it, or Sonny Landreth. And it's the thumb, your left-hand thumb, I'm trying to sort of get this.
Yep.
Your left-hand thumb becomes a pivot point.
Okay.
Which sort of stays, maybe this is a better angle, it stays against the neck like that, and you rock back and forth against it.
Okay.
It gives you incredible control then for the speed and the width of it, so you can get like... I'm a huge Rory Gallagher fan, and Rory's vibrato was unbelievable, really, sometimes really wide and just epic. It was a great vibrato.
Yep.
And sometimes the only time I could mimic it was to use the whammy bar. I'd sort of do things like... That was kind of what it was like. But since I've gained like... It's a great sound. It's really... kind of matches his voice. I found a lot of guitar players that are also great singers like Rory. They sing like they play and play like they sing, like Ian Moss, you know. That kind of but that's an incredibly pivotal, pardon the pun, but it's pivotal, yeah. Pivot with your thumb on the neck like that, and use that as a fulcrum to rock backwards and forwards with. Okay. And just for any real beginners out there, bear in mind that you're going right over the top of the fret for intonation, not in between, like where we place our fingers. So.
Yep, okay. All right, let's go. I guess we're going to the next little part of the solo, the next little lick that you're doing.
Yeah, so that first one, once again, is just... And that's where you got to really use that right hand flesh to mute this guy here. It's almost like a muted note, like a... Now the next one is all entirely on the 2nd string.
Okay. And
it's just a series of pull-offs, but you use the slide to do the pull-offs. So it's a... That's almost that lick at the top is almost the same as... You'll see a lot of that in this solo. It's just a standard slide move. But that's the great thing about the slide is when you just take it off, you get the most powerful pull-off sound. Like...
Yeah.
You don't have to pluck it. It just wants to yell. So...
Okay.
So it's like two picks. Well, 3 actually. 2 open, 1 on, and then just take the slide off, and that's the sequence.
Okay.
And then 2 more. Yeah, and then up to speed at...
Great.
And the next lick is that last lick just repeated. So it's... Which is the same as... Sorry, I'll get that right. Yeah, so it's just that lick repeated again.
I was just going to say, let's go on to the next lick because I think you've broken that bit down nicely. So,
but and then the next part is it's a little interesting because it's a position shift for a note that you could just play the whole section on the B string. You could just go. That's all on the B string, but what I do is I go to 10 to 8, and instead of playing that F sharp on the 7th fret on the B, I play it on the 11th fret on the G, because I like to do that. It's sort of easier in a way, because it's easier to go rather than and slide. You've got to reach down to slide up, whereas here you're already under it. So I look for little moves like that. I suppose it's because I'm in standard tuning as well. I suppose we should point that out too. I'm not in a open tuning or anything. So yeah, any sort of same if I went. It just depends if I want that effect of sliding up rather than going. So. And then plus I want to do a big dramatic noise slide, so I've got more room to do it here. So I go, so then for the next section then. So I like a big, so a bit of drama, you know what I mean?
It's worth mentioning, what's going on in your right hand. You're doing a little bit of hybrid picking, aren't you, with this solo? No?
Yeah, to be honest, it's mainly just the pick and my middle finger. It's really, I don't think there's a great deal of anything else going on. I don't think there's any other fingers involved. I think it's mainly just the pick and this guy. And it's not essential. It's not like it's a must do to play the solo. I maybe use it almost in a muting capacity, because I think on this particular lick, that first line, I think I play it with the finger, and then the pick sort of helps to mute the bottom note. So that sort of thing. So,
okay.
Whereas down here, I think I just started with the pick. I think I just go, I started with the pick, but then moved to the second finger. So, see if I can get in a little closer, just for the right hand's sake.
Yep.
Yeah, I start with the pick, but then move to the second finger. This is all the pick. I think I do the same thing here. I go. So the pick starts it, but then the second finger takes over because the pick has moved to the bottom string, I guess. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great. That covers that. I reckon we go up to the next lick. Now you're heading up towards the 12th and 15th frets right now.
Yeah, because I've ended up on the 11th fret by going. And now I'm on 15 on the B string, so it's like an A sus chord.
Oh.
So. Now, I think that's it. Playing it slow is really weird. I'm so used to just jamming this thing out in one take.
Yep.
It's one of those solos that a lot of the other solos I just improvise. But this one, I always play it the same way, and I don't know, I just like it. It just seemed to fit the song really well. So anyway, yeah, so. And I'm not so worried. I'm not trying to mute those strings. I let them ring, so you get the full chord. So. And I think I just alternate pick it. I think I just use the pick. I don't.
Yeah, so that is a really fast lick, isn't it? That bit right there, when you play the song at speed, it's a pretty rapid fire thing.
It's pretty fast. The very last lick is a killer. To be honest, I'm not even totally sure I did that in a take. Like, they may have combined 2 takes, I think, because it never struck me as something I would have done naturally. It's hard to say. When I was, especially back then, I was such an instinctual player. I didn't really know anything about any kind of theory. So it was a real throw your hands at the guitar and see what happens kind of deal, and use my ears to try and make sense of it. So who knows? I may have done it, but I don't know. I wondered if they might have done a bit of a button move on the mixing console, and just for that very last lick.
Okay.
and then just a pentatonic. So yeah,
what frets are you on there on that bit?
On the second string, 17, 15, and then 16 on the third string.
All right.
Can't believe I'm able to number those for you. That's I used to struggle with that, trying to remember what number these frets were. But yeah, and then we're back to the high E string on the 14th fret. And you get do a big thing like that. So it's a real Aeolian lick because it's over that B. I think it's sort of over the sort of a real Aeolian sounding lick.
Yep.
And then, so yeah. Now this thing, I don't even know how I'm going to describe this. So it starts off with the same A sus arpeggio. And then in tune would be nice, but yeah.
All right. Do you reckon you might be off just to that last little bit? Maybe just call out some. Yeah, even if you're picking it, he's fine.
I was going to say I might even do it with my fingers, so you know what notes to aim for. So it's on the B string, it's 15, 14.
Yep.
And then on G and D, it's straight across at the 14th fret.
Yep.
Then on the high E, it's 14, 17. It's interesting because it's that arpeggio is rhythmically displaced. Crikey, I can't even talk. So it's sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's it. So I was trying to tap and play at the same time, and I'm having trouble doing that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So.
All right.
Yeah, playing that with a slide at tempo is. Sometimes I'll do the Sonny Landreth trick and actually use my finger there. Sometimes I'll use my finger to fret that one note, and then, but I try to do it. I try to get it with the slides. So, but a tempo, it's hard. It's tough. Yeah. That last note's always a little touch and go. I've been pretty consistent with it lately, but yeah, it's pretty painful if I miss it.
Yeah, I think up until that point, everyone was just loving their new slide lesson, and then they're getting to that section, and that's when the guitar goes back in its case, and they walk out of the room. there's a bit of work to be done on that little bit, I guess.
Yeah, it still kicks my butt, so don't feel bad if it takes a while. It's an interesting lick. I remember doing the solo, but I don't sort of remember us. I don't even remember us agonising over it very much. Back in those days, I was really such a shoot from the hip kind of player that I didn't overthink things, and really interesting stuff would happen pretty quickly. So yeah, and I often look back on it and go, how did I manage that? But
yeah, I mean, it does. It elevates the song. It complements the song really nicely, I think.
It's a good sort of climactic moment, isn't it?
It is. It's awesome. Well, that's brilliant, man. That's all I wanted. I guess you can kind of angle the laptop back up to you.
Stop looking at my guitar now. So
yeah.
look at the guitar. I don't know.
That's brilliant, man. Look, that's exactly what I wanted. I think we've nailed that, and I think everyone's going to be very pleased with what we've put together for that.
Brilliant. All right. Too easy.
I'll catch you soon. Who knows? We may be able to tee up some more Zoom lessons or something like this for YouTube. It's somewhere down the track. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks again for joining this, buddy.
No worries. Thanks, Troy.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, share it around, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you think. All right. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.